Content warning. Today's episode of Pop Culture covers topics that may be disturbing for some viewers or listeners. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. Hello, my lovely hummingbirds. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Makeup and Motivation here on Pop Culture with your lovely host, Monroe. How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing good. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. Now, today's episode, we are going to be cosplaying as none other than Kim Possible. If you guys don't know what Kim Possible is, it is essentially a Disney or Disney XD cartoon about I believe she's 16 or 17-year-old girl that is battling villains by night and going to high school and dealing with all of that by day. Now, she has her trusty sidekick, Ron, and I think his name is Ron. Yeah. Ron Stoppable, Kim Possible. And Wayne, who is the person that basically is her tech guy, helps her with everything, and of course, Ron's trusty companion, his naked mole rat, and her main arch nemesis is Dr. Draken, and Shigo, a baddie. But anyway, for today's topic of conversation, we will be discussing in a state of perpetual availability and what that means for the journey of life, love, and self-healing. If you are new to Makeup and Motivation, hi, this is a series on this channel where we do some character-inspired makeup looks for the most part and talk about the journey of life, love, self-healing, as well as giving y'all updates of everything that's going on in the world of music, movies, media, entertainment, popular culture as a whole, and in the world. But all that said, hi my lovely hummingbirds, I missed y'all. I got my voice back. I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm gonna be talking through this because I gotta get ready for work, and we're gonna do part 1 right now and then the other part later on when I get back home. But that said, I would really appreciate it if you would all join me in a moment of silence before we begin with everything for today, but especially for the lives that we have lost in recent times, including Liam Payne, James Lee Williams, more publicly known as the Vivian, Jeff Baena, Gabriela Detres, better known as Gabby Warrior Queen on social media, Makoto Takahashi, Jimmy Carter, Dulce, and Mark Withers. Please join me all now in this moment of silence. Thank you all for joining me in that moment of silence. I greatly appreciate it. Now, 2024 was a wild year, y'all. Very wild indeed. So, I'm still just what is happening? What is life? What is social media? What is all of it? All the products also will be listed in the description below. But it was a wild year. So everything from Diddy to more things coming about, even celebrities that attended the parties, to chaos and drama everywhere. We also got to see a lot of new things happen in media and artistry, including albums, returns, new tours with returning artists, I should say, and a whole lot of movies, especially book iterations. And I'm still holding out for that Kotar Hulu. Apparently Netflix is taking over now. I don't know if I trust Netflix. They canceled too many shows for my liking. But I feel like personally, if they are going to do a KOTOR, they need to get whoever the frig is behind doing Lord of the Rings and the Rings of Power, because they will do it right. And they're the only people that I trust for this fantasy novel to come to life, because I need to see all the shadow daddies on the big screen. Or at least at home. Anyway, my nonsense aside. One of the films that was iterated, one of the books that was made into a film was It Ends With Us. That is originally authored by Colleen Hoover and depicts a life of essentially dealing with an abusive, narcissistic, traumatic relationship, and then proceeds to go on to like how the main character ends up healing, or attempts to, like, you know, make sure that her daughter doesn't repeat the cycle, right? And It Ends With Us. Is like the whole point of it. So, originally, when the casting announcement was done for that it was going to be Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, there was an uproar via late social medias because they were like, yo, we could literally pick anybody else. We can pick people that are younger. We can pick X, Y, and Z. This project for Justin Baldoni was a passion project, absolutely. Not only due to his personal experiences, but he did really want to center it around me realizing what the fuck am I doing. I haven't even done my eyeshadow yet, but I guess we're going to do that last because now there's foundation on here and I refuse to put it down. Anyway, what am I channeling? So, it was a passion project for him because he really wanted to highlight what those that experience DV go through, because that is the point of this book. Colleen Hoover has said before, she stated that like the book takes depictions of real life from like her mom, etc. So, you know, he wanted to honor this. Along comes Blake Lively and her camp, and apparently rewrites were made where like Ryan Reynolds rewrote a scene or something, and we've seen videos of her trying to guide Justin Baldoni on how to pull her in, things of that nature. There were rumors that things were not all hunky-dory and perfect on set, which, I mean, is a thing that has been stated in not just this Blake Lively film, but in others, right? I'm not trying to be funny, I'm not, but something that just popped into my head was, you know, the only film that we haven't heard that they weren't problematic, well, I mean, they kind of were because he was married to Scarlett Jo at the time, but when Blake and Ryan started in Green Lantern together, they didn't complain about each other. Anyway, that aside, during promotion, there was a whole lot of mess. It was very like, okay, clearly something is going on, because why is Justin not with the cast and crew? Why is he not promoting the film with them? He's the only one talking about DV. While she was promoting her hairline and told viewers to dress up in florals and bring the girls, right? Or get your girls and dress up in florals to go see this movie. People were already iffy about it. They didn't know how... Sorry about that. I'm still very much dealing with some health issues, so... That's why I blipped out there for a second. But there was a whole thing about it. About how it was very... One end was marketing it for what the film was intended, and the other end was marketing it as, like, this happy-go-lucky thing, which later on, and I did discuss it on here on Pop Culture, that, like, viewers were upset because some thought that the film was going to be a bit more lighthearted than it actually was. I put entirely too much primer on my eyes. And it brought along the question of, okay, so why was it being marketed this way? Long story short, film is out, or a version of it at least, because this is Blake's version. It is not the version that Justin Baldoni and his creative team initially had intended for the film. So, things continue to progress. And then, with all of the PR nightmare that the campaign was regarding Blake and her promotion of the film, and, you know, the viewers were just not buying it. They're just like, there's no way she's, like, not really processing everything when it comes to when it comes to the film and what it's about, and like there's no way that people aren't like she wasn't grasping. There was a thing where someone asked her, like, you know, in an interview about DV and how would she approach an individual that like asked her about it and all this stuff, and she was like, oh, like what, like they want my social security, like they want my information, like basically making it very like it was invasive if someone were to ask her about TV, which is the topic of the film, or to share their story with her, which is the topic of the film. Now, it was awkward. Even cast seemed put off by her participation in the interviews and how things were handled. Now, that said, I don't know, right, what the consensus was, how, if there was any conversation over, like, I mean, there has to be, right? Like, oh, this is how you're going to market the film, this is what you're going to say, this is what you're not going to fucking say, right? Is my thought process. I don't know if that happened. I don't know to what capacity that happened. But her team definitely portrayed it as one thing that it wasn't. Later on, until the backlash happened, is when I think she posted a story, can't remember, about DV and the impacts that it has and all this stuff. And like a helpline. Move forward. A lawsuit comes out by Blake Lively's camp, and how Justin Baldoni sexually harassed her and berated her, and how cast and crew and all this stuff was uncomfortable. Mind you, not only was he the main antagonist in the film, but he was also director. And then she got like directive rights or something. The lawsuit itself, I believe, is like 60 pages long or something. I'm gonna read it. I have yet to read it. I need to read the whole thing. But it just, a lot of it wasn't making sense to a lot of people, which, valid. Wouldn't make a lot of whole sense to me either, especially because Justin Baldoni does not have a rapport of being toxic on set or anything like that. Blake Lively does. So there were those that already were like, no, she's lying, and took Justin Baldoni's side in the matter. I'm not gonna lie to you, I sat back and I was like, I'm gonna watch things unfold a little bit because I need to see both sides. But that's just me, and, well, I would say good journalism, but, you know, podcastingism. And I was like, me thinks many things, but I'm gonna wait and see what is said, what comes out. Lo and behold, they released this lawsuit. They released portions of text messages that paint Justin Baldoni and his team in not a very good light. basically saying how there were things of a smear campaign, and that this was done with an intent to make Blake Lively look bad. And we have seen this before, right? Where things don't work, pure nightmare, people come out, say things, whatever. That it was done with an attempt to defame her. Of course, other celebrities, other individuals have come out and are like, oh my god, no, yes, she's so brave for coming out, whatever. This is what happened, etc. And this was done through something she had posted in New York Times. I think she did an op-ed or something. Which, like, it reminded me of, what's-her-face that was married to Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, and her op-ed, and, like, everything that came out with that. People have gone on to criticize the New York Times and say that, you know, they're not really doing their journalistic duty and getting all the facts and all this stuff. Granted, I would still like to one day end up on the New York Times bestseller list, so this is not me saying shit about y'all. This is just me reporting back everything I've heard. No, but in all seriousness. So, essentially that happened. And Justin Baldoni has since filed a complaint, or his team did, against the New York Times for that very allegation. That things were taken at face value without any concrete proof of the situation from both parties involved or doing due diligence. Again, I need to read both of these to their full extent. There are creators on TikTok and all of that that have done like a very, what's the word I'm looking for, thorough examination of it already. So if you're so inclined, definitely go and check any of those out. But his lawyer went on, I can't remember what show, and they asked him, are you going to sue Blake Lively? And he, Blake Lively. And he was like into oblivion. And I was like, the fact that this man is so confident that they have enough evidence and proof, and he did say that it was all solely based on proof and evidence, right? Not just supposition or limited messages. I'm like, oof, this is gonna be an interesting thing, right? So, Justin Baldoni, was, quiet throughout majority of, like, everything happening. He was just like, okay, let me, on, like, the front end of things, and basically communicating with his team on the back end, being like, what do we do about this, like, what's going on, etc. And seeing at first, like, everything that Blake had posted, and this is also why I waited, because I was like, yes, always believe all victims. I'm not going to say no. But we do know. Unfortunately, not all are honest, first off. Secondly, not all individuals that accuse other individuals are honest, is what I mean. Not victims. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I was like, okay, all of this came out. And to me, as an outsider looking in, I was like, it feels a little, not convenient, but kind of, that, like, look at it this way, right? Her name is smeared in the process. During majority of it was her own actions throughout the press tour and how the movie was promoted and all of that. And then the person that plays one of two titular characters, who plays the narcissist in the film, the abuser, the person that tortures her character, essentially. Because I really do believe DV is a form of torture. Like, that's just my personal opinion. Level of PTSD, but that is something for a different episode. So, this person, right? Then, after all the smear and all of that happens, well, the person that claimed to be for DV, claimed to wanting to do it as a passion project, claimed to do all of this as, like, for survivors and those who have suffered and all this stuff, right? Comes out as the big bad in the end. Feels a little convenient. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm like, granted, it would honestly be like the joke of the world, right? That, like, played an arc, pretends to be for the victims, is an arc. Interesting. But I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. So I sat back and I waited, and then I saw the full messages released by Justin Baldoni's team, and I was like, well, that doesn't look good. And I was like, this is getting very, very interesting. And I was like, okay. Clearly, this lawsuit is not done. Okay. Clearly, there's going to be a lot more, in the coming months leading up to the case, even in the case that is going to come out about both parties. Now, when it comes to sexual harassment, and another creator did say it on TikTok, they were like, it's not about the intent, it's about what was experienced, essentially, like if it was perceived as such type of thing. And she allegedly perceived what occurred on set as harassment. He and his team are vehement on that this is done to defame him and all this stuff. Amidst all of this, he did share a video about Gabby Warrior Queen, who moved many people on social media with her story, with her personal battles, and him meeting her and all this stuff. And I was like, I can see how people could say, like, oh, he is pretending to be the good guy and he wants to seem some type of way. I just feel like if that were the case, to some capacity, especially her family and loved ones, like, would have said something like, no, he was a dick or some shit. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of loose ends and a lot more to come from it. That is my take on that whole thing. Now, that said, other things going on in the world of popular culture and a little in politics. So, Donald J. Trump apparently wants to now stop the TikTok ban, which I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. However, I would like to remind all my lovely hummingbirds out there, do not forget all the other shit this man is attempting to do. Okay? Do not forget everything else he said about birthright and all this stuff. Just because he gives us the clock app does not mean he doesn't still want to do the rest of that shit. Is part of me under the belief that, like, I think he got banned from Twitter recently. I don't know. I saw something about him and Elon Musk getting into it. But I'm not too sure as far as that is concerned. But apart from that, like I said, man is still trying to remove birthright. He said something recently about, like, insurrectionists. He said that he is going to pardon everyone involved in January 6th. In the insurrection. Because that's what it was. An insurrection on Capitol Hill. He's going to pardon everyone. Let us not forget that that was essentially an attempt to take over, to put him in a position of, like, dictatorship, because he said he wants to be the last president. Jeez. And sadly for our country at present, here in the States, my heart goes out to everyone in California right now, everyone in the Los Angeles area, everyone that is suffering due to the wildfires that are taking place. I believe the last number I saw, due to the wildfires in Palisade, about 30,000 plus people were forced to evacuate. 2 were confirmed dead. These are numbers that were taken when this video was recorded, approximately a week and a half ago when everything first started. More updates next. I saw the images of people attempting to put out the fires and do, you know, everything possible to, like, save what they could. The destruction is just, it's insane. Misha Collins, who, if y'all know, and you know me, I love Supernatural, posted 211 or 211la.com or the Watch Duty app for resources. If you are in the area and somehow you come across this video or audio or whatever it is, I love you so much, and I hope that we see a stop to this soon. And I hope you're all staying safe out there, because, I mean, honestly, it breaks my fucking heart. I have family in Cali, so, like, I'm going through it emotion-wise right now, y'all. Aside from that, I saw images. So there's a creator on Instagram, and this is the first time I ended up across their page, but their Instagram handle is flower in Spanish. It's a business called Flor, which is the word for flower in Spanish. And they posted a video of farm workers, Latino farm workers, okay, working amidst the fires. Working amidst everything that is going on right now. And it's so heartbreaking, because obviously, like, the comment section is very, like, in agreeance. They shouldn't be working under these conditions. Okay? They should not be, one, so close to the fires that are happening, but also so close to the smoke and chemicals that are in the air, in the area that they're working at. And a lot of the comments also were resonating that, like, are these the jobs that Trump supporters and MAGA followers and all of that had said immigrants are stealing from them? That said, from the 20-something-year-old reporter that was hit by a car and attacked by an individual that said that we are in Trump's America now, and everything else that has come out about bigotry and racism, the text messages that Black women were receiving post-election day, like, it's just appalling to see everything that's going on already, and Inauguration Day hasn't even happened yet. I recently saw a movie with Nikki, shout out Nikki, called Civil War. And y'all, if you haven't seen it, first off, our baby girl Kirsten Dunst is in it, and you should watch it because we love that woman. OG Mary Jane. But when you watch it, you know what I mean. It's very like, oh, I see what y'all did there. I see what y'all did there. And that shit is so just like, it's such a good movie. We'll probably review it at some point soon. You know, this still had powder on it, and I just undid part of my work, and now I have to go back in there. Ah! Where's my powder brush? I just had the floofy one. There it is. But yeah. So that said, I don't know, y'all. I'm a little concerned. Like, we saw how COVID was handled. I'm a little worried of, hopefully, I mean, God willing, these fires don't last more than they already have, and they're able to stop them. Big shout out to local and law enforcement and the fire department and everyone that is helping at this point in time in California to put out those fires. I'm concerned. I'm concerned for the future of this country. I know I look crazy right now. It's gonna make more sense once this is done. But anyway, speaking of fires, a local Missouri woman, Danielle something, can't remember her last name, set fire to 3 establishments in Puerto Rico and immediately left La Isla and was back in Missouri. I read somewhere that she's already been arrested, which, like, thank God. And I hope she gets what's coming to her because it's fucked up. In other Puerto Rico related news, sobbing to a Bad Bunny short film was not on my 2025 bingo card, and I sobbed. So he made a short film, I believe it was titled Crítica Social, and I first saw the clip on TikTok, and then I went on YouTube and I was like, Bad Bunny short film. I sobbed like a fucking baby because it addresses the gentrification and how advancement of technology is essentially removing a lot of la cultura in Puerto Rico and making it harder, especially for older generations, to go about to the places that, like, they've known for years, to really, like, the assimilation is not happening at a gradual pace. It is happening overnight type of shit. And if you live in Chicago, you've seen it here in our neighborhoods. You've seen the gentrification happen. And how so many, like, there's so many places, if I'm not mistaken, in downtown that, like, no longer take cash. Or are, like, card only or tap only, like, things like that. Which, like, is rough for a lot of people. Also, $30 for a tripleta is crazy. Like, I was also going through all the comment section, and it was like, everyone is in the same consensus. Like, it really is heartbreaking to see what's happening in Puerto Rico. And he also dropped his album, Debí Tirar Más Fotos. Y'all, that album is chef's fucking kiss, and you are going to get a rated episode here on Pop Culture of it, because I'm also going to talk about, like, a lot of the nuances that a lot of people, they did an interview of him, and he's like, oh, you know, how do you feel about the people that are complaining that, like, oh, they don't get certain, he's like, I don't care. And I was like, period, tell him. And, you know, because a lot of people have been saying how a lot of individuals are listening to the album, but they don't fully understand what he's talking about and all of the nuances in the album itself when it comes to tongue-in-cheek comments or adding different aspects of, like, Puerto Rican music and culture and all of that into his album. Like, this man poured his heart and fucking soul into it, and I love it, and honestly, it is his best album to date. I don't give a fuck. It is the best work of art. I saw a comment somewhere, though, they were like, Bad Bunny got with one Beverly Hills white girl, and he went all the way back to fucking Puerto Rico. I'm not gonna lie, that shit gagged me. I was like, I can't stand y'all, but like, low-key true. So, he does, and we're gonna do a whole review on it. I have so much. I'm like, yo, I have been playing this fucking shit on repeat. It's so good. It's so good. I'm like, I'm so proud of him. Granted, I am Mexican as fuck, but I'm so proud of him for not only addressing everything he did, like in his song where he says that like he doesn't want what happened in Hawaii to happen to Puerto Rico, and I'm just like, dude, hell yeah. So, you know, I realized I'm going to work, and I'm about to go with a whole lot of fake-ass freckles on my face. And this is not me trying to appropriate freckles. I love you, all my redhead baddies. This is just because I want to look like Kim Possible for this video. But that said, yeah, we're gonna do a whole review because I got so much to say about this album, and like it's so good. If you guys have not tuned into it or listened to it yet, you definitely fucking need to. That said, hold on, I cannot repaint my beauty marks back on without getting really close, so we're gonna do a little cut once those are repainted. Period. Hi y'all. So on camera it doesn't look like it, but I'm very blush blind right now. So like, wait, I'm like trying to get y'all to see this better. Like, blush to the nines. But when I got the bright ass light on, that helps me paint this out. Different light frenzy. You can't see what this looks like in real time. Struggles. So, I'm gonna look real interesting today. I'm gonna just say that. You know, I have a Freck product that I could do for this, or use for this. I did not grab it. And here we are, doing my freaking Lime Crime eyeshadow as my freckle powder. Work is about to be like, girl, what? I'd be like, I can explain it, it is for cosplay. Anywho. Bro, when my mom wakes up, she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's like. So, that said, I look forward to seeing more of Benito's work. I look forward to where this trajectory of like his career is going. I know there have been like political tensions in Puerto Rico right now, and like so many reasons why I feel like the time for this album is very, very well placed. But anywho, that aside, in other reggaeton artist news, y'all remember how I was like, oh my god, Daddy Yankee and Mireles and da da da. Why did this man, after I posted my video, not like he knows me or anything, but not me being personally offended by this, after I was like, oh my god, you know, I wish them both the best, this man went on Instagram and posted his new boo, and I was like, Mr. Ayala, Mr. Daddy Yankee, how dare you break my heart. Yeah, so apparently he's happy and in love and all this stuff, and then Mireles locked him out of the accounts of like his business allegedly, and there's a whole mess going on with it. I don't know where I left my eyeliner brush, and now I am sad. Wait, I'm gonna use this one. I found one. It's not an eyeliner, is it? It's for brows, but you're gonna be eyeliner today. And his daughter. Why am I saying 4114 when I said this? When I'm gonna say this words. Recently posted on her Instagram for her birthday his and Mideadi's daughter about, because she accompanied her mom to like the court hearing or whatever, and I was like, and she was like, you know, thank you for everyone that's been super supportive. She's like, everyone that's like judging, and because she's a content creator in her own right, and like, she's like, I ain't got shit to say. She's like, I know what's going on. The people that truly know what's going on know what's going on, type of thing. And I was like, Mr. Daddy Yankee, what did you do? Anyway, that's just my take on all of that. I don't know what's gonna come of it. I don't know if she really did lock his ass out of the accounts. I don't know if, I mean, she did, but like, I don't know what the reasoning was behind it or like anything like that. I don't know. Hopefully everything gets resolved with as little, what are words right now? I'm really trying to focus and do this eyeliner up. So sorry, y'all. With as little paint towel parties involved as possible. Now, yes. I love Zendaya and Tom Holland. I love them so much. So, Tom Holland recently did an interview about how once he has babies, we ain't gonna see him. Mans is gonna early retire, right? Or take a break is essentially what he said, like doing a sabbatical almost. And take care of his babies. And, you know, be a dad and watch them grow and all this stuff. And everyone's like, aw, but like, you know, don't fear, like, we have a long time for that, he's contracted with Marvel, blase, 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 blah. Who knows when that will happen? And then I want to say, about a week, if not less, the Golden Globes happen, which also, big shout out to all the Golden Globes winners. It's incredible. I'm so proud of y'all for all the first time winners. Long time coming. You deserve that shit. If y'all ever see this, hi, love you. Come on, Pop Culture. Let me interview you and ask you awesome questions. Anyway, that said, Zendaya popped out with an engagement ring, y'all. And they were, like, obviously, since it went public that they are together, so many times they've been asked, oh, you know, blah, 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 like, will you announce it if you get engaged and all this stuff? And they were kind of just like, oh, when we get engaged, like, you'll know. We're not going to say shit, but you'll know. This was that. This was that. This was their, we're not going to say shit, but you'll know. Oh, we know. The whole world is super excited and hyped up for this. I'm super excited and hyped up for this, for them. They're so cute. They're so happy. They're so private about their relationship, as they should be. Because really, it's not any of our fucking business, but, you know. My eyeliner game has not been on point lately to where I want it to be, and it's stressing me out. But we're just gonna leave it alone. Also, this is not my eyeliner brush. So there's that. Ah! Hold on. Because I lifted one and not the other. In other news, That's just as good as it's gonna get today, and we're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna go with it. But the perfectionist in me is like, no, fix it now. I wanted to make them wispy, and the wispying is not wispying, and now I feel like it doesn't. Ah! Okay, that was it. The universe said you're done trying to apply this eyeliner. So, that said, I'm excited for them. I'm so happy. If they are engaged and it comes out that it is true and they are happily going to be Mrs. and Mr. Zendaya, I'm so happy for them. They deserve all the joy and love and cutesiness. In other news, oh yeah, shout out to Dua Lipa and freaking Callum Turner. They're engaged. I'm so happy for them too. That's amazing. Leading a little bit into today's topic of conversation. So, we've talked about this before, my lovely hummingbirds. I had mentioned previously how with like Chapel Roan, when everything was going on with her, and earlier in the year about a video, I believe it was. Yeah, no, it was a TikTok. That TikTok video that Drew Afwalo had posted. Drew Afwalo. We love Drew. A queen. Iconic. About, like, the difficulties of being known and recognized in the public eye. Especially, like, when it comes to influencers and, like, celebrities that don't necessarily have the means or funds yet to have... Oh, my voice! Ooh, my voice cracked real bad on that. Don't necessarily have the means yet to gain, like, Kardashian level protection. And real quick, so Anastasia, Beverly Hills, bitch, you are brow queen for a fucking reason. So this shit right here, easiest brow I've ever done, quickest brow I've ever done. It is so good. Like, I'm obsessed. Anywho, just a little for everyone listening on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. I love you. I'm pretty sure all my episodes sound a little chaotic to y'all. Thank you for listening. And thank you for viewing. But the conversation sprang up about us as viewers, as online viewers, remembering... I need to get my highlighter brush. Us as viewers remembering that these are real people. Okay? These are real people with lives and personalities. And while, yes, okay, we make content because I am a content creator. We make content, right? And we are, to some degree, exposing ourselves to being approached and, you know, people, to some degree, recognizing us in the street and things like that. Granted, I don't know, I feel like I'm not there yet. You know, just things like that. And how, as consumers, because I also consume content on the internet, obvi, being conscientious about when we do see these people in public, remembering that they are individuals that are people too. And especially, like, if someone's with their family and things like that, like, being mindful, you know, being cutesy about it, y'all. Don't just, like, interrupt them or, you know, scream in their faces or anything crazy. Don't do that. It's not cutesy. And recently, over Christmas, or before Christmas, I believe it was. I don't know. I was offline. I was sick as fuck. So I just recently saw this. And I was like, wow. Had I not gotten sick as fuck, this episode would have still been very in line with things that were happening. Interesting, God, how the world works and all my freaking intuition shit. Thank you, universe. I like my mug. He's so cute. See. Shout out to my Secret Santa at work, because she got it for me. Along with a bunch of other cool stuff that I'm so excited to show y'all. But that said, Taffy, who is a friend of Drew and also a content creator, spoke out about it, and she was like, she's like, I can't speak for her because she can speak for her damn fucking self, and we all know that. She's like, but she said, basically, remember that, like, the people that make content, remember that, like, artists and artistry and all that, they're real people too. They have families and friends and all of that. They see everything. They read everything. They feel some type of way. She's like, granted, while there are shit people on the internet, there's also people like Drew who are genuinely really good people and are doing their best to do everything that they can for their purpose. In Drew's case, to fight for individuals that cannot speak up for themselves, and support, various ostracized groups and things of that nature. And telling all these incel-ass men to eat a bag of fucking dicks, which, like, I love her so much. I love her. She's nice. She's so iconic. Y'all see that? Like, so fast. Oh, it's so good. Okay. And I was like, you know what? That's so true. And it's such, like, a eye-opening thing. Because sometimes when you're behind a screen and on a keyboard, we forget the people that we're viewing through our phones. And if you fall under the line of, like, criticizing these individuals, they are people too. Which brings me to today's comedy show. No, what am I channeling? Anyway, to today's topic of conversation, which is being in a state of perpetual availability. And why are we using Kim Possible as our character inspiration? 1, because she's a badass bitch. 2, because I've been wanting to do this Kim Possible cosplay makeup look for so long. Number 3, because Kim Possible's character is very layered and complex, in my opinion, because not only does she have men working for her, but not only because she's out here saving the world, right? Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. She is also going to school. She's just a girl. She's out here dealing with girl shit and having to deal with her cycle and school and being the best student and being the best daughter and being the best hero and saving the day and making sure that, like, Draken doesn't get his way, which he never freaking does. And on top of all of that, having to pass her SATs and get into a good school and falling in love with Ron and all this stuff. Like, she's such a multifaceted character. But she is, as I mentioned, in a state of perpetual availability. To friends, to family, to everywhere and everything that needs her at all times. And in the journey of life, love, and self-healing, that can quickly lead to burnout and be super detrimental. I'm going to go put my wig on, and then we will be right back for the rest of this episode. In reality, though, that's what you're going to see But I'm gonna put on my work lippy and eat my breakfast and leave for work. And then we'll be back. But, yeah, teehee, I love you. I'll see you in a second. Hello, my lovely hummingbirds. How's it going, everyone? It has been a few days since I last saw you all. And hi, what do we think about the makeup look officially? It's so good. I like my fake-ass freckles that I drew on. It's, honestly, I'm obsessed. Been dying to do this makeup look. So, a couple things. There have been some updates regarding the fires in California. I know I did mention them briefly and how there were approximately 30,000 individuals that had been evacuated. The number has drastically gone up since then. We are in week 2 officially, and some of the updates revolve around like firefighters from Mexico, from Canada, and so many more individual, the Navajo firefighters as well, helping to put out the fire. There have been some arrests. There were individuals that were starting fires amidst all of this. Just very, very, very crazy. My heart goes out to all the families and everyone that is impacted by this fire. There are resources that I am linking as well in the description of this video on YouTube specifically. And if you have any more questions, my lovely hummingbirds, of where to go or where to look, definitely go and either follow the video or I will share some even on Instagram. Anywho, that said, for today's topic of conversation, what does it mean to be in a state of perpetual availability? Well, in today's day and age, and I know I've spoken about this before when it comes to instant gratification. Ooh, this is going to be a very interesting reading. Anywho, wait, you like the dual tone? You know how she doesn't have a bottom lip? Or it seems like she does. It's so interesting, so interesting. But anyway, in today's day and age, when it comes to instant gratification and always needing to have access to everything at all times at lightning speeds, we have somewhat become not only overstimulated and overwhelmed at times with just how much information and individuals can contact each other, etc., etc., etc. But also, it kind of has set the precedence that especially if you're texting someone, for a long time the precedence has been set, even in the world of dating, that like the response needs to be immediate or instantaneous, or you will either upset the individual, lose their attention, and so many other things. And for those of my lovely hummingbirds who also have anxiety, you know damn well when you see those 3 little bubbles and then the message disappears and you hear nothing, all the demons come just spiraling through and being like, oh my god, it was something that I did, all this stuff. Being in a state of perpetual availability, just like Impossible said, call me, beat me if you want to reach me, it is the act of always at all times being available for everyone, and more often than not at the detriment of your own sanity, your own safety, your own protection, your own finances. It is putting everything and everyone else above yourself. And the reason why this becomes an issue, as I mentioned, it can lead to burnout. It can lead to frustration and even strained relationships, because one, the individual can feel used and abused at all times, but you also make yourself susceptible to energetic vampires. If you have not seen that episode, you definitely should go check it out. I think that was the first one I did this year, or not this year. Hello, 2024. My brain. But where does it come from, right? Because we're not all just available all the time. I mean, you tell a little kid to do something, and if they don't want to fucking do it, their very first word is going to be no. They're going to look at you and be like, no, I don't want to do that. You do it. Like, or maybe I just have very sassy nieces and nephews, but more often than not, it comes from a place of childhood, and it can directly correlate to always having to be available for the individuals in our own homes for one reason or another, whether you have become the confidant of one or more of your guardians, or you are the one that is expected to be the one taking care of your younger siblings or your other siblings. As we spoke about in the episode of the parentified daughter, it does not always mean the oldest is the one that does everything, nor the middle child. It can oftentimes also be the youngest sibling that ends up with the responsibility of not only having to care for the parents and their emotional needs, but also providing for their siblings to some capacity when it comes to the financial aspects of the responsibilities in the home. Now, it can stem from there. It can also stem from just interpersonal relationships growing up. I feel like it stems specifically from childhood because that is where we learn our boundaries and how to properly say no and whatnot. It also stems from people-pleasing tendencies. Absolutely. Trauma. But it can be learned over time, especially if you do, say, end up in a traumatic relationship or experience where you are exposed to an individual that requires your attention at all times, constantly, and then rips it away. Think love bombing, for example, where you get all this attention, and then when they're kind of through with you, it's just like, boop, okay, done, and then you're left there reeling of like, wait, what did I do wrong? That's a whole other dirty little cycle, which we will discuss at some point on this channel. But how does this impact in the journey of life, love, and self-healing? I believe, personally, that to be in a state of perpetual availability leaves you vulnerable to having zero self-accountability. It leads you to a space of, like I said, people-pleasing tendencies. It can also damage interpersonal relationships or work relationships because you don't know how to place a boundary, or even familial or relationships as a whole because of the lack of boundaries. Just spinning yourself tight, my lovely hummingbirds, to the point of like, okay, well, I booked myself 10 times over because I meticulously planned to the most finite detail that I was going to do all these things, and then not only do you end up leaving majority of the individuals that were involved in all of this down, but also yourself. And you create this toxic pattern of overcommitting and overpromising and doing all these things, and then ultimately hurting yourself in the process due to lack of sleep, stress, anxiety, or feelings of ineptitude due to your inability to have any way to like cope with all these things at once, which you're not Wonder Woman, my lovely hummingbirds, and that's next week's episode. But it also, I feel like, directly like impacts self-regulation and the inability to self-regulate because you are so split up in many ways and many facets that if something like the most minor inconvenience, your 13th reason, were to happen, like it would break you, or you would not respond in a way that like is in line with who you are from a moral or more value aligned standpoint in your life. This also, in my opinion, is one of the biggest deterrents in the journey of life, love, and self-healing. To be perpetually available for everybody and everything else above yourself stops you from growing. It places you in a mode of stagnation, and it puts you in a space where you slowly start to remove the identity of self completely. Or you pick on 1,001 personalities to so meticulously curate to every individual in your life so that you never do wrong, so that you never disappoint. And that in itself is exhausting. You begin to lose sight of who you are. And I just heard it, if I even knew who that was to begin with. My lovely Hummingbirds, this is going to be a very interesting reading. Anywho, I will not be in this cosplay for that reading, crazily enough. But it is okay to, at times, let go and let God. It is okay to say no. Even if, especially if you've been felt like you couldn't before. So, what can we do when you've always been in this like perpetual availability? Start small. The best way is going to be to start small. And start small in the sense of like, look at the tasks that you have for the day with yourself that you've made for yourself and read them out loud to you or in the mirror as if it were your best friend saying that this is their day and what they have to do. What would your response be to them of what they should be doing? And then do that. Or downsize on the amount of activities that you place in yourself by level of burnout. Because you're probably on the brink of burnout right now, my lovely hummingbirds, and it's not cutesy. Don't do it. It's not good for you. But also practice by saying no with small things. Phone a friend. Get a buddy that you trust and love and adore, or even with your therapist if you have a therapist. I don't know who that message is for, but if you don't, think about it. Anyway, and really tell them like, hey, so these are my tasks, like I need to not do one of these. How do I do that? And just break it down. And I know it's hard. I know the feelings of being a disappointment can be very there when it comes to like perpetual availability, because you want to do good and be the best and help everyone. And while that is admirable and beautiful, can't fill from an empty cup. You can't be out here saving nobody if you can't save you. So take time. If you've always been in this, well, it's time to peel back where it came from. And do the shadow work and do the dark night of the soul and look at the aspects of yourself that having to always be there all the time comes from. Majority of times, I feel like it does come from a space of you're always there for everyone because you do it from wanting somebody to be there for you in the ways that you are there for everybody else. And when that doesn't happen, the feelings of insecurity and insufficiency easily come knocking your way and are like, we did something wrong, something happened, I wasn't good enough type of thing, and that's not true. Also, understanding that if this was placed by an individual outside of yourself, and say this is something you have newly found yourself in due to traumatic relationships or experiences or even work or whatever it may be, realize that if they are no longer in your life, and if I feel like I've said this before on an episode on here on Pop Culture, where I was like, if it's not feeding me, fighting me, or fucking me, it has no say so. So like, if it's not actually feeding mind, body, spirit, if it's not physically fucking you or pushing you in the aspects of like mind fucking you to expand your mindset or fighting you to be better and progress, then it has no say so. Okay. If they are no longer in your life, they have no say-so. And really pulling back your power to self and to God and the universe and whomsoever you believe in, so that external forces don't have that control over you. It's the whole having demons that no longer exist type of thing, right? Also, if you newly find yourself in it, it really is going to be a returning to like the you before it all with learned experiences. As you progress in the journey of life, love, and self-healing, and the same for everybody because everybody's journey is different, but especially for my trauma babies out there that have been traumatized from the womb, you know, like it's a little different in that sense, but you, the version of yourself that had all the dreams and all the hopes and all the aspirations and wanted all the goodness in the world, is still very there and very alive. You just have to peel back the layers to bring them forward. And if that person no longer resonates with you, that's also okay. The journey of life, love, and self-healing is all about finding what works for you at various points of your life in different facets of your life. Like, trust me, I am not the same individual that I was when I started my own journey by any fucking means, okay? Are there aspects of myself that have carried over? Absolutely. Are there aspects of myself that I'm like, we should probably stop that? Absolutely. Also, not perfect, but you are human. Okay? And to err is to human. To be human. But it is okay to, yes, you will ask yourself a million times, how did we get here? What caused this? What started this? What was the point where I was no longer happy type of thing? A la Bad Bunny, when's the last time I was happy shit? Yes. The introspective thoughts will occur. You just have to make sure you don't get lost in them. Also, if you find yourself in a space of like perpetual availability all the time, you need to really, my lovely hummingbirds, look at what feels like you're lacking in your life personally. For me, if I am always lending a listening ear to everybody all the time, it usually comes from a space of I'm not feeling heard. If I am agreeing to do 100 or 1,000 tasks at once, it's because I am independently doing so much that I want to lift that burden from somebody else, because I'm like, well, I know what that feels like, so I don't want you to experience it. If I am giving grace to people nonstop that sometimes don't deserve it, well, yes, everybody does deserve grace. There are people that are simply just jerks for one reason or another, whether it is clinical or choice. It's really looking within. And know that it will happen in cycles. Know that those cycles are going to look a little different. It's not always going to be, you're going to be there, you know, every time somebody calls you and beeps you and reaches you, you're not going to show up. It can also be like emotionally there, financially there. Cycles of you hyperfixating on things within your own home, creating impossible to-do lists or tasks for yourself that are not going to get completed to keep the repetitive self-deprecating cycle that you cannot accomplish all the things that you want to, or you cannot possibly be powerful, or even a negative mindset or conversation with self is also a sign of that. It's okay to have rest days and just chill. Trust me, I'm working on that. It's not easy for me. I'm always doing something. But when you find yourself in those moments, it's okay to pause and be like, what am I doing right now? And really, really ask yourself that. On top of that, you ever noticed, and this was an interesting little life lesson that I got from someone a few years ago. At that point in time, I had not spoken with this person for months. And they disappeared, got a new job, did all this stuff to revamp their existence and what they wanted to do. And I was like, crazy, you like disappeared. And they're like, yeah, I had to. I had to go away for a little bit so that I could focus on myself, because they were so caught up in everybody else's life and business that they stopped focusing on theirs. And it's not bad to love on your people and love on your friends and love on your family and on your significant other, but you have to also be cognizant of the fact that at times you do it so you don't have to face yourself or heal or deal with the things that still cause a whole lot of pain when you pull at that thread. It's okay to acknowledge you might not be ready to acknowledge that. But the best thing that you can do, my lovely hummingbirds, is break being in a state of perpetual availability. Because the only person that's stopping you is not all these people and the resentment that you're slowly building for all of them from you always being there. It is you always being there. Sometimes we have to let people figure it out on their own. Sometimes people do gotta fall on their ass to figure it out on their own. And while, yes, you can show grace and offer a helping hand and all this gorgeous stuff, it's being mindful in the way that you do it. I saw this freaking thing as I was getting ready for today's episode of... let me rehydrate my existence. It's coffee. It's not hydrating. Drink some agüita. Don't pull me. But I can't remember where the museum is, but essentially it's like a fucking tunnel, and they put all this stuff in there and all these smells and noises and like things to essentially overstimulate. And I believe they put an individual in there, and there was a repeat of a mother's voice basically always tending to the individual at all fucking times. Like, hey, you should do this, honey, and you should do this, and you should do this, and you should do that, to the point where the person mentally and internally suffocated from it. It's okay to let go. Another place that this can stem from, deeply stem from, is feelings of abandonment. Feelings of no one was ever there for me. And if no one was there for me, that means no one's there for them, because they're asking me for help, and I'm also, lowest of the barrel could be a mindset there. So clearly, I have to be there. It's okay to take a pause and revisit things. As for those conversations that not only give anxiety, but also you can be inducing it, just take a pause. Work on your communication skills. I'm guilty of it. I respond in my head all the fucking time. And then I'm like, it's been a month. It might be a little late for me to reply, but I still reply. And I'm like, hi, I disappeared. I love you. How's it going? My bad. To all my besties that put up with me, I love y'all. I'm just a little remolino running around. Zoom, zoom, zoom. But also, and especially, if you're a parent, this just came up into my brain. If you're a parent, I am not a parent. We've talked about this. I am an auntie. But if you're a parent, it is okay to speak to your significant other, to your tribe, and ask for a moment. It is okay to need that moment and speak of it clearly. It is okay to start that conversation with your kids when they are young of personal space and boundaries. Because I will tell you this, if you don't do it and don't set that example, your kids will learn from you to not do that. And it will set the precedence that they must always be there at all times for everybody in their fucking lives because mommy and daddy were. And if you are parents and somehow you manage to watch me and you're like, oh my god, I'm fucking up with my kids, and you ended up on Pop Culture, hi, I love you, it's okay. We're all human. As long as you're doing something about it now is what matters. Some of you might get forgiveness, some of you might not get forgiven. But it's better to do something about it than not. We're all on this journey together. Yes, the collective. But to some extent, our journeys are individualized, as is our healing. And if you truly, truly, truly strive to be abundant in this life, my lovely hummingbirds, while yes, we cannot do it all alone, we cannot. You also have to know the aspects that you have to save just for you. And understand also you cannot take everybody with you. It might hurt in the fucking moment, for sure. Just like you can't take everybody with you, everybody can't take you with them too. You will figure this out. It will be okay. But also, just like you are available for everybody else, I need you to pan it back and see if these people are available for you. Make space for those who hold space. Don't carve out tunnels in your limited space resource for those that you are simply an afterthought for. I saw this thing. I've kept seeing it for a bit now. And I'm like, oh, I guess I gotta talk about it on pop culture. Of placing yourselves in situations where you are not called to be. And it goes around, like, it's more around friendships or relationships as a whole, really. Of, like, don't invite yourself to that party because if they didn't invite you, you were not wanted there. Don't accept last minute plans because that means you were never part of the plan to begin with. Don't insert yourself in a conversation you've been exited out of because that means that you are not someone whose opinion or is valued or matters. Do not, while yes, showing care and love and all that towards the people that you love is beautiful, not every situation is for you. That said, my lovely hummingbirds, it is okay if you currently find yourself in a state of perpetual availability, but you will get through it. But it's time that you start valuing your time, your energy, your efforts, and understand that you matter as a person. And that just as you feel blessed to have individuals in your life, they should at the fact that you exist too. And if they do not show as much excitement as that little baby on TikTok did when he was given an avocado for Christmas, then tell them to go and forth and multiply. Alright, that's it. I love you, my lovely hummingbirds. That's it for me for you for today. As always, les mando mucha paz, muchos besos, y les recuerdo que miren hacia la luna. Sending you much peace, many kisses, reminding you to always look up at the moon. I'll catch you on the next one. See y'all tomorrow for the 2025 love reading. Craziest shit ever, that reading. It's been a long time coming. Finally gonna get here. I had to take them off because then I can't tap my phone. If you're listening, audio only. I have friggin' silk gloves on. And right now it looks so weird on camera. Anyway, that's it. I love y'all. I'll catch you on the next one. It's gonna be okay. Kim Possible. Ow! Look at me. I'm so cutesy. Okay, I'm done. I love y'all. I'll see y'all. Bye.